So I played the habit game because here's what habit does and why I love consistency is that when you're out there playing every single day, you're automatically a better player because you have entered the playing field every single day. It's like coaching. It's like basketball. If I want to play basketball well, if I play every single day at 7 a.m., I will automatically be a better player than people who are not training every day.
Yeah.
That is the benefit of consistency. If the consistency is leading you to another wormhole of worrying about why I'm not at a bigger number, then again, the habit didn't solve for the problem.
Yeah.
Again, what we are
It didn't make you better.
It didn't make you better.
We live in a time where social media validation seems to drive our lives. This is especially true for anyone who's young, who's in their 20s or like late teens. And yet there's some people who realize that they want to break away from this infinite loop of social media validation and really move towards a world where they treat themselves like artists, they express themselves, and in a way spin the platform around to really express what they want to show and delete everything that they don't. And in doing so, they also find a newer form of expression that comes to set them apart, that almost makes them look at the world in a very different sense, gives them a very different perspective on not just what it means to be young in today's world or to be online in today's world, but really how you look at the world itself. One such person who I've always loved to talk to because of his, I'd say, varied perspective on the world around us has been Anto and he's our guest on the Varun Duggi show this week. And all I can say, it's an intriguing conversation and there's a lot that I learned out of it. I'm Varun Duggi, right back with Anto.
Welcome back to the Varun Duggi show with Anto. Hey Anto, it's been, I don't even know how long it's been since you and I met or spoke.
Roughly as long as, Corona has been around, we haven't had the time to spend time together. And I still remember the last time we spoke, and from that to today, so much has happened, and I just can't wait to tell you all about it. More than anything else, Varun, first thing that I need to tell you is, okay, here's a story before we start.
Yes.
So Rishabh is one of the first employees at Under 25, and he's now, he's my ally, he's my partner in crime, he's my brother. And Rishabh is a big Varun Duggi fan, right? Right? So Rishabh's a big Varun Duggi fan. So one day, Rishabh comes to me and says, bro, there's this thirst trap on the internet. You have to see this dude. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? He's like, bro, Varun Duggi and his workout videos. This dude is on fire. I'm like, what? You're talking about Varun Duggi? Like literally Varun, like who I met recently, last year. He's like, yeah, like, have you seen his videos? And that's when, and by the way, I was off the internet. I came back because of a so-called thirst trap. And
are you telling me that I'm the reason you came back to Instagram? That cannot be the reason you came back to Instagram.
No. So hear me out. I came back to check it out. Okay. So I didn't come back on Instagram. I'm just like, okay, I'll go and check this content out. And I come back and I see some reels of this really, handsome hunk out there conquering the internet with some fancy new songs and reeling it every single day. And then by the side of those reels, I saw the Varun Duggi show, and I saw a bunch of these cool new people being a part of it. And now I can go back to Rishabh and be like, bro, guess what? I just did a podcast with the thirst trap. Holy shit.
Okay.
Holy shit.
I know I've been explaining this workout reels to people, right? It has been an explanation because a lot of people are like, this is not something we thought you would really put out. And for the longest time, I wasn't. What actually happened? I've traditionally been a scrawny kid. Like always grew up scrawny. Always tried to be gym bro, all that stuff. Pandemic, I'm like, boss, no gym and all that stuff. Let's work out at home. And for fun, because at some point you start scrolling through reels. I'm like, people are doing this. Let's try it out. I remember Pooja once told me that, please don't do this. Like, do you really want to put it out? And then I made one video and I showed her. She said, oh, it looks fun, put it up. But I only do it for one reason now, is that I use it as a way to put across memes. So all my reels are workout memes. It's a new genre I've created for myself, and seeing how far I can take it. So I'm never putting up a workout which I'm actually doing. Most of my workouts are short after, or most of the reels are short after I work out, because I know they'll be visually interesting to watch.
Nice. Wow. Very cool. So this is like a interesting niche that you're also looking into, creating meme content with workout as the backdrop. And I think people it clearly is working. I mean, Rishabh has spoken to me about it. I have come back and checked you out. I'm like, holy shit, what is happening these days? And I must say, I mean, ever since then, I just wanted to come and tell you, it's just so cool that podcasting has really taken off and you're in the forefront of it and really sort of sort of holding the baton or whatever you call the flag to sort of make sure that there is good audio content coming out of our country. So kudos.
Thanks, man. And it's a good time for me to ask, why were you off the internet for how long were you off the internet?
So I'm still technically
Off.
quote unquote off the internet, right? But what I mean by that is two things. So I'll break this answer down into two parts. One is, the first part is me as a consumer of the internet and me as a creator on the internet. Me as a consumer of the internet was extremely passionate about internet from day one. I've always been a guy who looked at social media platforms as a very exciting place for me to learn more. Leaving the constructive, destructive debate of what social media can do, I always thought it added value to my life. And for the perspectives that I wanted to go after, number one. As a creator on the internet, one of the big reasons, so two things, right? One is, when it comes to me as a creator, I look at creation for the media network that I'm a part of, which is Under 25 Media Network. And then there was Anto Philip, who was an individual voice / creator on the internet. Both of these things were very dear to me. I really liked creating valuable content and thereby building internet culture. We were able to do that at an under 25 level, very early on. Under 25 dictionary, a few other pages really took off. I was able to see, momentum with the kind of ideas that we had, right? So, and then I said, I don't want to use the brand name Under 25 to create more content. So let me just have fun with, Instagram as a platform. So the way I treated it was, I treated my own channel as my feedback loop towards the most bizarre, crazy ideas that I wanted to experiment. The internet is such a beautiful place that, for more often than not, it's the bizarre, crazy ideas that people want to see. One of the big things that I wanted to stay away from was to create a formula out of the content that I was creating. Because after a point, I would know what will help growth. And if I was just doing what was going to help me grow, then I was dying as a creator. More importantly, I'll rename myself from being a creator to an artist. If I actually want to create art takes time, and art takes the artist a journey. And that authenticity is what actually creates valuable art. Again, it's perceived value of what that value is. But for me, in my own life, what I've realized is, on the internet as a creator, I started understanding the formula behind it, and I started applying it. And it just didn't feel like I'm being honest and authentic anymore. It was just playing the loop of content over and over again, coming back to the platform every 2 days, looking at the dip, looking at the growth, looking at the numbers. I felt like the joy in creation leaves, and sort of you start becoming a sum total of what everybody else around you thinks of you. I don't want to fit into that box, and it was a very strategic decision for me to be able to contribute my learnings for the internet culture at large, as opposed to just creating content for myself. So once the focus shifted, the need to create content on my page completely disappeared. Hence, not on the internet. But am I consuming content on the internet? A lot lesser than before, because a lot of my realization has moved to understanding the kind of things that I see and the kind of things that I act upon should not be completely based on my social media time. A lot of it should be something that I'm personally passionate about. So now what I'm doing is finding that balance. It is very exciting to be on the internet and sort of go with the wave. But also at the same time, it's very exciting to be outside of the internet and see what new internet can achieve by, not fully submitting myself to what the netizens, which is my generation, are currently going through. So it is a mix of both. I love the space and I love it as much as I hate it. I want to use it to experiment as much as I want you to use it to create change. So to find the balance and to be able to create art, I figured the best thing for me to do is to be able to put my head down and focus on what's important.
There are a few things from what you just said I want to unpack, right? One primary thing, because I know it's a struggle which I go through in my own head. And when you said it, I was feeling it. It's happened to me, right? Started the podcast, then decided, let me focus on what I actually do on Instagram. Right? So it's now become a cycle. I know for a fact that you start looking at that grid differently. You start putting up content in a certain way. You then say, okay, 1 second, it can't just be Instagram. So you look at Twitter, you look at LinkedIn, you look at every single platform out there, you look at YouTube. And as you're doing that, a large amount of focus becomes how much volume can you generate, right? And there are multiple models. So this whole conversation, which I'm seeing come back a lot more, is: are you a creator or are you an artist? If you are taking that call to be an artist, are you giving up on some things that can give you more scale, or in actuality, do you actually see that as you giving it more focus?
Very interesting thought, right? So here's how I try to unpack this in my head. I haven't vocalized this before, so I'm going to try and find the vocabulary as I say it. So here's what technically happens, according to me, from an individual's point of view to a platform, right? So what is technically any social media platform? The idea of a social media platform is you have talent, or, I'm talking about the creator universe. So a creator has talent. A creator now can go to a platform, and the creator now has the opportunity of now talking to a larger base of audience, right? So I could have performed my song to 10 people, but suddenly, because of the advent of the internet and the access to social media platforms, I can take that same idea and find a new audience and a bigger audience. That is technically what makes a creator, or incentivizes a creator, to go back to the platform on a day-to-day basis, which is audience, which is people, which is numbers, which is scale, which is opportunity, which is relevance. But whose needs are we, solving for? It's primarily the platform's needs. The platform doesn't open up the entire audience base to you, because the platform realizes only if there is consistency and there is this kind of a pattern that the creator is following with all the relevant use cases for the platform, only then I will push this creator. Yeah. Right. So today, X, part of the product, let's say stories, is popping. The platform will say, hey, stories is cool. Like, go do something within this space. X, Y, Z, multiple parts of the platform. It's inventory, right? Yeah. So inventory to tell a piece of content through multiple mediums. It can be a GIF, it can be a story, it can be a reel, it can be a post, it can be IGTV, it can be anything, and predominantly Instagram. Now, what happens is the musician or the singer, or let's call this any talent, right? A dancer is getting into the platform knowing that I want to dance and dance to a bigger audience. Mm-hmm. It becomes counterproductive when you realize that most of what is making you dance is only to get a bigger number than what you were dancing at, or what you were putting out content for. Because if you don't put it every 2 days, it is going to drop the growth that you already had. So true. Technically, you will lose 100 followers, or you will lose 200 followers. Yeah. The minute you see the numbers drop, you are motivated to what is just creating a formula of putting out things on a regular basis. Now, that's great for discipline. I did this for 100 days. I did this for 200 days for discipline, not for growth, right? I did it for discipline. I wanted to tell myself I'm going to be able to create this kind of content on a regular basis because I want to discipline myself as a creator to be able to put this out regularly. Not because, and that's technically what Casey Neistat did, or technically anybody who did regularly did. They created a habit out of it. Yeah. The habit was, again, benefiting the creator, not the platform. Yeah. Right? While the platform gains a lot from it. because if you're
100%.
doing something every day on the platform, they gain a lot. But if I pegged my output or the reward to the platform rewarding me, then I've lost the game. If I pegged the reward for me building a habit and me actually having that habit, then I've won. But then the question is, after I've finished and built that habit, what am I actually doing it for?
Yeah.
Every single day. I have the habit. I know I'm disciplined. I know I can tell a story.
Yeah.
I know it is amazing. Then what am I doing it for? Right? I have gotten the habit and I'm disciplined. I can wake up and I can create content. But then why am I turning this habit now into self-pressure? And then taking that self-pressure into defining what my content or my identity is based on what the vast majority of my content world likes, which means simplifying this, I create content about, 5 things Malayalis are proud about. Video blows up. A whole bunch of people come and start following you. I create more content like that. I create relevant content. I create content around the youth. But that is just 3 facets of my life. I still want to experiment as a music video creator. I still want to experiment and going out and rapping. I still want to go experiment building a news show. I want to be a part of a talk show. I have so many facets of me, but the vast majority of my audience just wants me to keep talking about the same thing that they came for.
Yeah.
Who loses? I lose. I'm not experimenting as much. I'm not pushing my boundaries. I have built the habit. But now in the name of the habit and the name of growth, I'm actually not pushing the boundaries with which I can grow.
You're trapped in the habit.
I'm trapped in the habit. So now what happens is I'm consistently creating that kind of stuff. And after a period of time, I look at how shallow or, how, for the sake of relevance, I have gone and broken my opportunity to experiment. And with no additional cost, the platform doesn't come and tell you post every day. The platform doesn't come and tell you do this. The platform doesn't tell you be 1 million followers. It's all the metrics that we have created for ourselves. And because of that, I have realized that I don't actually create great content for the sake of creating content that meets my consistency parameters. I create great content when I know I've given it enough time. I've planned great things from that piece of content. I've looked at every part of that. I've been able to tell a story from a new perspective. And all of this takes time. And I said, this is a great example. I said, Rasul Pukuti is one of the Oscar-winning, sound designers. And Rasul Pukuti was not known to anybody until the day his name was announced at the Academy.
Yeah.
I said, that's it. You create art. People will know you and the scale, the reach, the numbers will come to you as long as your art is great, as long as you are doing what you're doing the best way possible and you're committing to it with utmost honesty. And that honesty will reward you because the journey is more powerful than the end result, which all of us might define as multiple different outputs. It can be growth, numbers, reach, popularity, fame, access, impact. All of this moves aside the moment we know that the journey towards that was more powerful than the end result. And I think that's the stride I'm on.
When I look at how content is created, I feel there are a few categories. One is someone who's an artist who's just putting their art out there, and that honestly helps them find a way to showcase it. It might just be as a portfolio, might be as, and doesn't have to be regular, just is a way for them to put it out to almost get, there's a thin line between validation and just getting feedback. It's tricky when you go towards validation always, because then that's a sticky slope, a slippery slope rather. But on the other end, what I also feel is that, so there are many people who post because they actually want that audience, right? They're worried they'll never get it. What if I'm not as good an artist? Like for me, when I think about myself as a content creator, I enjoy doing podcasts, but I'm perennially paranoid of flatlining. So for me, I'm like, one second, I'm doing this. When I started off, there were only X number of podcasts, and within that, a smaller percentage focused on the kind of conversations I was having. So for me to scale up, I need to do X, Y, and Z, right? But that never ends because you're constantly not looking over your shoulder, but trying to see what else you can do. The worry is that will what you actually started doing this for get lost somewhere in between? And if you don't hit scale, which is the bigger problem, if you don't hit scale in terms of followers, etc., No matter what you might create as art, what if you never find an audience?
My initial thought to this is we will never have enough scale as a creator, right? As a celebrity, as a star, as an icon. I don't think human race was created with the intent of having enough. I don't think we're operating like that. Maybe we are created with that intent, but we're still not operating with that's enough. I mean, this is great. I have 100,000 people and I want to serve 100,000 people with absolutely amazing things is not what you hear very often, right? I have 10,000 people and that is more than, 3 summits that I've organized in the first 3 years. Wow. Let me serve them. You don't hear these things coming out very often. You don't hear this for one reason. And that reason is that I can be at 10K, I'm looking to reach 100K. I'm at 100K, I'm looking to reach 1 million. I'm at 1 million, I'm looking to reach 10. I'm at 10 million, I'm looking to reach 50. I'm at 50, I'm looking to reach 100. Now, this race is never not going to stop, right? So because there are people bigger than us, there are people with bigger scale, there are people with more reach, there are people who are using the platform differently, there are people getting bigger numbers. And by and large, our comparison is always going to be about what is bigger than where I am currently. So, which means invariably, it's like me going back to an Indian classroom, right? It's invariably like there is the class topper and invariably there are X number of students in the class.
It's like you get 99 out of 100. What happened to that 1 mark?
1 mark. That's all that's going to happen. But the question is, now here, think about it. You get 99, you get 100, you get 50. When you're dealt with problems in life and when you're dealt with moments that move forward in life outside of the classroom, life is very different.
True.
Right? So what happens outside of the classroom teaches you a lot more than what happens inside the classroom, which is technically what happens outside of the internet is more powerful than what happens on the internet. Because we are bringing a version of ourselves that is playing in the outside world to come into the internet and perform that performance with some scripting, some, whatever we call as the formulas of the internet to understand the identity, to tap the right markets, to know our audience and double down. So will we ever have enough audience? No. Right? Are we going to be happy with the numbers that we have? No. Let's accept it. I mean, it is never going to be enough, which means the only thing that we can actually do is now break it down into understanding. What am I actually here for? Where am I going with this? I knew day one when I entered the internet as a creator, I knew I'm not entering this space to show the rest of the world that I can amass another 5 million followers. Because if that was my story, I mean, on the flip side, I could tell myself, hey, Under 25 already does about 20 million impressions month on month. It's still part of my same ecosystem. So I'm feeling okay about the ego that I want to sort of project, right, on the internet. But then you pull all of that down, you take that, sort of persona that you want to build of yourself, and then actually be like, where am I going? Why am I actually on the internet? I said, I'm actually on the internet because I want to try a new camera angle. I'm actually on the internet because I wanted to add a new filter to my video, which is very different from however I've thought of content before.
Correct.
I'm actually on the internet because I want to now do sketch comedy within a new show. Okay, I've never done it before. Let me go this is why I'm actually on the internet. And the day I was able to realize that, the pressure left, the worry of, oh my God, if I don't post for 4 months, people are going to leave me left, right? Please leave. If I am the same dude who had it in me to get that many people to see what we created in the first place, then what makes me feel like I can't do it again? What makes me feel like I can't do a great job in telling a story because I'm passionate about it? I am now becoming a sum total of what other people thought I was. And the minute I thought that, I'm losing experimentation. I'm performing exactly what they want me to do. And I do it on repeat. What is the benefit? I get growth. I grow to 500K followers. I grow to 1 million. And then what happens? I'm still in the same loop, hoping that I was at 10. And then what happens? I reach 10 and I'm still in the same loop, hoping that I was 50. Does it make me more money? Technically, maybe a little more than what I would have been at 1 million, right? Does it give me more popularity? 100% it gives me more popularity, but you are getting the same kind of attention when you're at 500 and when you're at 1 million. Like it's a given that X number of people will know you on the streets. Cool. All of this for what? Right? Did you take that and you're saying that I want to build an empire out of it? When I look at someone like a Mr. Beast, took all of that, moved it into, now he's starting a creator fund. He has his own burger. It's like, wow. When I look at, someone like a Casey Neistat was able to, create a movement with storytelling and then, use that kind of, insight into building a product, sold the product, then, is on another journey right now to push the boundaries where he's now like, oh, I did the habit. Now I want to be able to create art.
Yeah.
Right. So I played the habit game because here's what habit does and why I love consistency is that when you're out there playing every single day, you're automatically a better player because you have entered the playing field every single day. It's like coaching. It's like basketball. If I want to play basketball well, if I play every single day at 7 a.m., I will automatically be a better player than people who are not training every day.
Yeah.
That is the benefit of consistency. If the consistency is leading you to another wormhole of worrying about why I'm not at a bigger number, then again, the habit didn't solve for the problem.
Yeah.
Again, what we are creating...
It didn't make you better.
It didn't make you better. So I feel like the dichotomy lies between two things, right? The dichotomy lies between number one, am I creating it for validation? Or am I creating it for being a lasting voice?
Some of the things you said are so interesting, right? Is that the tendency is, and I think all creation starts that way. You create something to put it out there. And at some point, and I think this happens in every field, right? Forget the internet. Think about people who make movies. You go from saying, I want to create something that is great for people to consume, to saying how much are the numbers in the box office, how many streams did it. No, it comes down to that when you come towards scale. But I think what you're saying is so interesting because if you look at it by saying, okay, I'm doing it to become better, I'm not necessarily doing it to just hit raw numbers. When you're saying this to me, it's taking some pressure off my head because at some point that is automatic, right? I've had to stop myself. I know this, and I did this about a month ago, to stop looking at every single post and the numbers it was getting. Because in my head, I'm like, it is like, why am I doing this? I'm not doing this for the numbers. I'm doing this because I enjoy creating the content. But you get into that cycle and you get to look at the numbers and then look at the dashboard and you look at, okay, why would this one get less and why did that get more? And that hole is never ending. So my question to you is, when you took the time off, what did you learn about life without being online that everybody should learn about?
Oh my God, best question till date, right? A bunch of things. My life has had 100% shift. 100%. I will always stand by this one learning that I've had, right? Sometimes it takes a long time for one to realize how to play like oneself. Right? I read this quote somewhere. It moved me, right? It is, you have to risk, in fact, the quote goes like this, right? You don't get anywhere without risking going somewhere. And this is what I had written down from the learning of that phase.
Perfect.
And to play like oneself was my dream. This was a little before the lockdown. So what happened was the year before last, I see a massive opportunity in telling stories and creating content. I wanted to up the production value. I wanted to up the storytelling narrative. I wanted to up the style in which I was doing it. And we created content and it was good fun. And I said I had a great time, but I caught myself in the same position that you were saying you were in. And I was literally a slave to the numbers. And I wanted to see it up. I'm worried about what people will think about me. If I don't get X number of comments, X number of views, oh my God, this brand got this kind of reach because of me, but for the other brand, I didn't deliver value. Am I doing something wrong? Am I suddenly becoming irrelevant as a creator? Do people not like me anymore? Oh my God, are people thinking that I'm a fake? Are people calling me? All of these things, right? It's so crazy. It starts playing in your mind that you start forgetting to play like yourself. And that's what I started this line with. And I said, I love the way I play me. Right. I love it.
So
I mean,
lovely.
I love the way I play me. And I love the fact that I'm able to not take myself so seriously and just have fun with it and just to dance and just play and just get onto the platform to really experiment. So I said, I've been blessed with 100,000 people with whom I can actually be now random. I can do whatever I want, tell them very clearly, don't expect anything from me. I'm not your quintessential creator who's going to keep coming and giving you the same things, because believe me, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Believe me, I'm not here for growth. Believe me, I'm not here for popularity. I just really want to have fun. And I'm so glad that 100 people are there to validate that fun. That's it. Right? 1,000 people are there to validate that fun. 100,000 people are there to validate that fun. Wow, how blessed am I? I'm this random dude who is sitting across, here in Bangalore, suddenly who has the opportunity to just be wild and free on the internet. First learning is that redeemed me. I was not bound by anything, right? I was playing me. I liked the version of me that I was waking up to every single day. I understood that deep focus is very important. I'd rather give things more time. Art takes its time, so I'll give it that time. But that doesn't mean I'm not allowing myself to be lazy. So the big two learnings in this phase of getting off the internet, and not being so, oh my God, I have to put every day, I have to write. Instead of that, going, I want to grow, I want to grow, I want to be this, I want to be that. I moved from that into just
make you less hyper.
Ridiculous hyper, and I'm creating content nonstop. I'm growing. I mean, I had one video where I've grown 50,000 followers. I was like, what the hell is happening? Right? It is great. It's like a hit of the best drug you ever can possibly get your hands on.
So true.
That's how crazy it is, right? It's beautiful. People suddenly love you. People suddenly say, awesome. I'm like, holy shit. If I feed into this, one of two things will happen. Either I will like the fact that other people like me, or I will hate the fact that people hate me. And both of these things are emotional values attached to absolutely zero value.
Yeah.
It does nothing to my life.
So true.
It doesn't change me the way I wake up tomorrow if somebody double tapped on my post, versus it doesn't change my life when they say I suck. But the minute I give my value or emotional value to something that is positive, I am going to give emotional value to something that is negative. Right? So I said, I'll remove both. I don't want to take the praise, neither do I want to take the hate. I am me. Right? Hence, I found time outside of the internet to just be lazy. So I broke my life down into two parts. There is the deep focus Anto, and then there is the lazy Anto. So the deep focus Anto is going into 3-hour slots with utmost intent and focus. So I'm entering into, let's say, okay, I'm going into a conversation with Varun today. I want to prepare. I want to do a great job in this podcast. I'm also catching myself trying to prepare for being cool on this podcast. All of this kind of awareness is happening while I'm preparing for it in the deep focus time.
Yeah.
My lazy time allows me to be lazy because I feel like when human brain is doing nothing is when human brain has the opportunity to think and innovate and invent. If I'm preoccupied with a gazillion other things running in my mind, I'm carrying the stress from one world into the next world. Example, I wake up with the stress of sending out a copy for a post that I have to put out, which is not approved. I'm living with that not approved part of my day through the rest of the 15 meetings that I'm entering, always constantly checking if that thing is approved. Then I'm operating not in full presence, not being fully aware, and not being actually valuable to every single conversation I'm a part of. So deep focus allows me to be deeply in focus of that solution, come back into a lazy world, and lazy Anto has a ball of a time. Lazy Anto is cruising through life, he's sleeping, he's watching shows, he is like, oh my God, randomly scrolling on Instagram, liking, not liking, it's all of this didn't matter because lazy Anto can be whoever he wants to be. And doing nothing allows you to find a version of you that doing something can never be able to find.
That's so true. That's so true.
Right.
Because we try to pack our lives with so much all the time. And I know I'm major guilty party on that front. Right? For me, I've taken the term Entu cutlet and just kind of given it a little bit more nos in that sense. And I feel that most times I run like the Duracell bunny and I crash.
Right.
And I get up again and I run again is how I function. But those pauses are so important, and I feel that remote working and other working from home has taught me that. Right? Is that even if you have like 10 meetings in a day, make sure you have like, I mean, I do what you're saying in a smaller way. Lazy Varun comes in with 10-minute, 15-minute gaps between meetings where I'm doing absolutely nothing, right? I'm just going to be I'm just going to be this person who's just chilling and then kind of get back into it. But what you're saying is actually a very interesting remedy for what I feel is one of the biggest problems we have, right? As human beings, is that because we are now have this is ample access to so many things to do as well as to consume, the need is to constantly keep doing something. And I read somewhere I found that very interesting, is that we have lost the ability to be bored.
Yes, exactly.
I feel that's so important. Bored. I don't know. I don't remember the last time I was bored.
Yeah. And being bored takes you to a place that, knowing everything will never take you to, which is what I always am excited about. Most of my ideas of what I practice in my professional life comes from doing nothing. But also at the same time, I say it very lightly, I don't get the time to do nothing. It is a very conscious decision to go into a world of doing nothing, because I operate as a hyperactive maniac, right? I want to keep doing things. I want to keep breaking boundaries. I want to push myself to be waking up every day and actually invent something. I always go back to my team, and I'm sitting in our office today. I always go back to my team and I tell my team, guys, there's only one job that we have, and that job is to invent. You're not hired as a engineer, doctor, scientist, data analyst, festival producer. All that is secondary roles. Do whatever you want to do with those roles. As long as we're inventors in this space, we have won. And inventing always comes from a place of Jova, who's one of my dear friends who runs the Antidote, says, there are things you know. There are things you don't know. And there are things you don't know.
That's true. I think the last one is the most dangerous part.
Exactly. Right. And to enter the world of you don't know, you have to be bored. You have to do nothing. You have to put yourself in places that allows you to invent, right? You have to be able to find the balance between hyperactive maniacery versus absolute laziness. What I mean by laziness, not wasting time, is to be able to give your mind the space to think by doing nothing. And we very rarely do that. And I think that's the opportunity that we have as a generation.
Yeah, I want to segue over here and I want to ask you a question I've always wanted to ask you, is that how were you as a kid? How was young Anto? I know you're still young, but how was younger Anto? Because I feel in many ways, especially when you have a tendency towards any form of creation or any form of art, it's something which starts off when you're kids. I find it eventually finds a voice as you get older, but I'd love to hear how you were as a kid and which of those things have kind of seeped in through the years.
Oh my God, I was a crazy kid. I still am a crazy kid. But here's a fun story, right? So quickly, I mean, I'll break the story down into parts that I think are very exciting. Number one, I come from a middle-class Malayali family, and we're a family of 4 people: dad, mom, sister, me. My sister is 4 years older than me. Dad was in the Gulf and moved down to India when I was 15. Mom is a nurse. This is whatever I said till now is the typical quintessential Malayali family that you will ever meet in the history of Malayalis.
True. So true.
So that is who I am. But luckily, I was born and brought up in Bangalore. In terms of my opportunities and my access, I was born and brought up in a locality and an environment that made my school very close. Community was great. People were great. Church was amazing. So I always say, going to church, singing in the choir, all of these things really helped me, sort of scratch the creative side of me, and it really helped the non-academic version of me, right? So an academic version of me is always very confident about getting through and not being a bad student. And I always made it very clear to my parents that I will not be a bad student. I will work hard to be what is socially acceptable, right? I would graduate with decent, it would be, above 85%. It's great. Nobody has a problem, but I'm not the topper because I never wanted to be one, right? So in my head, I knew that the gamble that I had to do was not be the topper, but I want to do many more things and be a decent, academic student. Now, here's what happened. As a kid, I have always been, and I say this, my mom's my biggest rock star, right? Like, she has seen in me something that I think I hope that most parents are able to give their kids, right? It's My mom was technically in Bangalore. Dad is in the Gulf. Sister and I are young kids. Mom takes it upon herself to build this house for us in Bangalore, and we all move into this house. Dad comes down for housewarming, everything done by herself. She's such a rock star, and she's going for a day job, which as a nurse, she's coming back home taking care of us. And I still remember, I think it was my lower kindergarten. I come back home and I say, Mom, they are organizing a fancy dress competition and I want to take part. My mom says, I still remember, she very, very, very beautifully looked at me. She said, 100%, let's go do this, right? And she said it in Malayalam and so sweetly. And I still remember the day where my fancy dress look was that I was a fisherman. So I walk on the stage and I say, Mine. And I go, it's a massive, thing. And I take the fish out, me like, Mine. I'm screaming out loud. I'm this kid in school. And I still remember what my mom told me before I went on stage. She said, just smile and just be confident. And that's the first time I ever went on stage, by the way.
Yeah.
And from that day till today, I have loved that place called stage. I have found myself to be very comfortable being there. I've found myself to be very, very confident being there, all because of what my mom told me. She said, it's not an alien space. It's not a crazy thing to do. Just go, smile, and be confident. So, and I think, when you're that young, these kind of things just really stay on with you for a very long time, right? I was in the lower kindergarten. I had no, maturity in my human brain to understand how valuable those two words would mean to me. But with my mom saying that and she giving me a smile and pushing me on stage the first time, and ever since then, I was singing, thanks to my mom. I was in fancy dress, thanks to my mom. I was dancing, thanks to my mom. I was doing every possible thing that the school potentially thought a student can do. I was doing it, right? Yeah. 7th grade, I've gone and played basketball. I've played national level basketball. So I'm now cultural and sports and academic, right? So while all of this sounded very exciting in school and college, I didn't know what it was going to lead up to. I didn't know the future Anto and what future Anto is going to be, right? But the one thing that stayed with me throughout my entire life, and that's the big learning for me as a kid, said, I don't want to ever be represented by one thing, one identity, or one box.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not just a singer. I'm not just a dancer. I'm not just an actor. I'm not just a basketball player. I'm not just a national level whatever. I'm not just an orator.
Yeah.
I want to be so good in everything that I'm a part of, and that is me.
Yeah.
Right? I can enter any world and be able to commit to that dedication and that discipline so that I'm able to see the day that I walk on that stage, I'm smiling and I'm confident. And that confidence only comes from homework. Yeah. So, and I think that's what my mom taught me. Ever since that day till today, I followed that, and I always go prepared. I always put in a lot of effort to smile and to be confident.
The simplest things you're told as kids, and I think all our moms have done this, right?
Yeah.
And as you were saying this, I was kind of thinking back what my mom always told me, that good things happen to nice people.
Yeah.
And I've always been told I am too nice. But I feel that somewhere it's embedded because my mom just said, be nice with people. But that's the least you can do. It's the easiest thing to do. it's these simple things that you kind of learn as kids, and in most cases our mothers have taught us these things.
Yes.
Moms have so much more credit for giving, especially boys, these things, saying be like this.
Right.
And it's so right. And what you said is that also the fact that when you have varied interests, and I'm told the new age term is to call yourself a multi-hyphenate. I think that's the new age term.
Wow,
Roshan introduced me to the terms. I'm like, Roshan, you are far more with it in today's lingo than I am. And he said the term is multi-hyphenate. So, but today's world actually allows you to do that in such an amazing way, right? And the way you can express yourself doing different things.
Yes.
Exploring stuff. Like, I started writing a newsletter because I wanted to write.
Mm-hmm.
And that's helped me find the confidence to start to write a book.
Right.
And for me, that's been really, it's an exciting journey I'm on, and it's really been interesting for me to do that. And whenever I look at the stuff you create, I don't think I've ever seen you post anything, your non-posting days, or even now what you kind of put up occasionally. Nothing has seemed like something that has been created for the internet. There is a certain cinematicness to the way your mind works, and I've always noticed that with what you put out there. And what I'd want to ask you is that, because you're doing that with that mindset, both as you've kind of come back to the internet because of my reels, as well
it's
as
the handsome hunk, I tell you. It's the handsome hunk. I can't do anything about it. It's the cool dude. It's the thirst trap. Rishabh, are you here? But I like how you just don't say anything about it. You just move.
I don't know how to react to that. I don't know how to react to that statement. It is, I'm an almost 40-year-old man, and I'm very humbled to get this reaction, is how I put it.
Lovely. I have put you in a very bad position.
Because first of all, I start sharing workout. Okay, now people messaging me saying, "Can you share workout plans?" I'm like, I follow someone's workout plan which I found on the internet. I mean, I will not. What will many people do? I will not plagiarize another person's internet plan and just pull that out and give it here. But yes, so you never know. I might just might take up fitness full time eventually. That might be.
I mean, that's the right kind of glitch that we want to see. You know,
exactly.
It's going to be quite something. Yes, tell me, please.
But I want to go to how. What's your thought process when you're creating something, when you're creating a piece of content? Because I've always found that to be very interesting. It's very distinct in the way you create.
3 things. It includes culture, community, and story. I always look at what culture am I helping create or be a part of. So I want to stay authentic to that culture. So fundamentally, the dictionary definition of culture is to be able to say it's the ideas or the customs that a group of people follow, right? And fundamentally, what the dictionary meaning of community means is it's a social unit with people of similar mindset, right? Of a same concept, or of a religious practice, of anything, right? So between community and culture, a social unit, when they have a certain bunch of ideas, it becomes culture. When that culture is then told as a story, it finds acceptance. It is not fully going to be accepted. Not everybody is going to like everything you create. But the reason why I treat it this way is because I find that, my big calling from day one, I feel, was to always be able to build youth culture. On the journey to that dream, I realized building youth culture is not just another line I want to say in a conversation. It is a lot of work. So much work. I actually had to mean it, right? Which means I have to stand by what I believe in, which is to build youth culture. So if I had to build youth culture, 2 things had to fall in place. One is I had to understand youngsters and students and take them very seriously. One promise that I made to myself is I want to be able to take students very, very seriously, because I am that student who wanted to be taken seriously. So what can I do to take students seriously? And how everything that we do should be able to help benefit the students at large, which is technically influencing some part of their culture.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2 is I want to be able to disrupt more things within storytelling. And hence I used me or the things that I had in my access as the opportunities to experiment towards in impacting internet culture. What happened in that position was because I came from a very inventive mindset. And this is not me saying that, oh, we are crazy inventors, we changed the game or anything like that. I mean, to be very honest, I don't even know if you're doing the right things. But one of the things that I'm very confident about is we didn't want to do the same things.
Yeah.
If not anything. I didn't want to follow a pattern. So I said the only way to not follow a pattern is if we can put matter over medium. We said, what's the matter? What are we talking about? What culture does it affect, or what culture are we being a part of? What community that does it benefit, and how much of what we're creating is more about the community than about the individual?
Yeah.
And number 3, how powerful is the story? Because the story has to leave, or I mean, in many ways, we call it content hangover, right? It has to give you a hangover. So between these 3 things, when we were so honest to what we were doing, we found that, and I have a beautiful team that works along my side. So I don't take any credit to the kind of mad things that I've been able to be a part of, right? I'm so blessed to be a part of a great team, and also fellow dreamers who are ready to push boundaries alongside me. But the day I said, this is our vision, let's focus on the matter. It doesn't matter like who is the celebrity inside it, or who's the voice, who's the mouthpiece, all that is secondary. It doesn't matter if it's Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, all that is secondary. What is the matter? In that matter, what is the culture? In that culture, what is the community? In that community, how are we making sure that this matter reaches the right kind of people? This is overall how I treat every piece of content. And if I'm doing justice to this, I'm almost certain that the matter wins over any medium. So it can be a 1-hour docu-film. I mean, in the beginning of the lockdown, we worked on Batch of 2020.
Yeah.
That was a complete experiment. I just wanted to be able to create a long form piece of content. I said I'd done enough 5-minute pieces of content. Now I want to do a 1-hour docu-film. The 1-hour docu-film made it to an international film festival, is now doing the international film festival circuit.
Yeah.
And it is unbelievable for a creator to want to dream that far and to be able to push the boundaries and to have a right team to be able to, bring that vision to life.
Yeah.
So I said, while we have this as a blessing and it's a unique sort of a position that we are in, why not make the most of it? And I always say that if not us, then who? Because I want to be able to bring in, I mean, I don't know if you've seen this, a huge part of my life or my vision or my sight is very design first. I'm a very design person, right? For me, it has to look incredible along with the matter. So for me, I spent as much time sitting on the design, on the packaging, on the style, on the colors, on the mood, on the emotion, it's oh my God, storytelling and filmmaking is such an unbelievably incredible process. But sometimes in the race of growing those numbers, I'd forgotten that the joy in that process was in things like these. And I'd gotten it, oh my God, I didn't get 10,000 likes.
Yeah.
Said, screw it. So that's, why I give so much importance and value to the content that we create.
To get things right, and small things like getting the text right, getting the visual right. It's almost like nowadays, like I feel apologetic sometimes when I have to change something and somebody else is working on it. So I just make that change. And at the back of my head, I'm like, oh, you're just making it better.
Yeah.
But it's almost because of the volume in which we're churning out and we're creating stuff. At some point, you feel bad that you're pushing people to do more when they've already done something. We keep going back to this point, right? Is that high volume versus high quality. At some point, there is a point where you can balance both those together. I feel we started off with high quality and we moved too far towards high volume now. And we finally come into a time where you'll be able to bring it back to that balance of some sort.
Yeah. And I mean, if not anything else, intent defines the output, right? If the intent is to be able to make peace with the fact that if I was able to make peace with the fact that I'll lose another 30,000 followers if I just, wanted to experiment and have fun with it, The day that I was able to get that perspective is the only time I can make peace with it. Otherwise, it is not a very easy decision to make, because you can see the numbers, you can see the growth, you can see that people are going to back you up and people believe in the kind of stuff that you do. But in the long term, it's just going to harm you and create a massive void. I mean, just the amount of learnings that I've had in creating and experimenting, I've been able to now experiment at the highest level. So I always said that today Anto Philip has 150K followers, for example. Tomorrow I work with somebody who has about 100 million followers. I'm able to use that canvas to tell a story at the highest level. So at the end of the day, my intent was to be able to tell stories and make those stories reach as many people as possible in the content world. While a part of me wants to do festivals and have people have a great experience, while a part of me wants to create a tech product that millions of people are using, while a part of me wants to build a generation. There are too many things that is getting me to be out and about and give my best version to the world and to myself. But most importantly, in the storytelling world, I said I want to tell stories. I want as many people to be able to experience the kind of stories that we want to tell. And then I realized that everybody is an equal opportunity. Every page, every brand, every star, everything that defines internet culture, I can directly be involved in and actually create impact 100 times bigger than what I would have done just as Anto Philip. And I think that was just the best thing to do.
What you said is so interesting about the larger platform which somebody else has versus what you already built out, and to reuse that. Has that also made you kind of relook at how you create, or not necessarily?
Yeah, I mean, so technically I always say that the kind of things that I do is the same for the internet, because the internet is regardless of who has how many ever followers, the people are people at the end of the day. There is a certain want everybody has when they, I always tell our team to not treat a person who has made the effort to come and follow something like they don't matter. Right? But also at the same time, don't do it only for them.
Yeah.
Right? So which means the only way we can actually do justice is by actually saying that if I was to watch this on the internet, would I enjoy watching? If I was to watch this on the internet, would I enjoy sharing it? If I was, going to be sitting and being an internet consumer today, will this blow my mind? And when I look at everything from that POV, I think it just makes things a lot more easier. You're not looking at it from the star or the celebrity or the content creator's POV. You're looking at it from what helps the internet get through the kind of non-stop creation from multiple different voices. What creates the break, or what creates the difference, and how can I be helping multiple people find that difference or that new perspective? Because of two things. One is because we have access to that much data and understanding through the Under 25 Media Network. Two, for me as a storyteller and a filmmaker, I'm able to now take that vision and be able to do something really different with it, which helps a certain brand or anybody who works with us see things like they've never seen before. So it helps me invent only because I played it first. I can't delegate this job if I didn't know how to create content myself. I had to be the case study for myself. So that way I can just use me as the case study, and because I come for free to myself, I didn't have to pay I didn't have to pay myself a ridiculous amount of money to get this case study and tell the world it actually works. So it's a win-win at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, I will want to create a lot more content and tell stories, but also at the same time, I want to see a complete revolution on the internet and how people are treating storytelling just in general, just to have fun, just to push a little bit of boundaries, just to see where we can go as a country and how much impact we can create on the internet.
I come free to myself is for me the line of this entire conversation, which is so true. And like if we don't use ourselves as guinea pigs for the kind of stuff we want to do, then who else will do it? Is literally the point.
That's it. That's life. We are free to ourselves. Please use. Please go do crazy things.
I normally ask every guest what inspires and motivates them, but I feel that through this conversation, there are so many things that you have said which will be inspiring and motivating for many people who are listening in and watching in. So I'm not even going to go there. I think you've given us enough pointers on that front. I can keep going on, but I do feel that this is a great point to wrap up the conversation. And thank you so much, Anto, for coming on the show. And it's fabulous as always. And I feel this deserves a part 2, which you will do somewhere down the line.
I love that. Can we please do that? I have so many more things, not to say, but to discuss, to just hear from you. Also, I mean, like, here's the thing, right? One of the things that before having this conversation, I was talking to Rishabh and he said, bro, we should ask Varun, what is he inside closed doors, right? What I mean by that is you have a bunch of industry friends, you have a bunch of people in your team. What do you like in a meeting room? What do you like I'm
exactly the same person. The one thing which I've always found liberating to maintain is that there was a time in life when you try to be different people in different rooms. The more, I guess, my journey with Glitch kind of grew, and I think the podcasting has really helped. I think the podcasting made me really truly reflect on who I was. Mm-hmm. Now I'm pretty much the same person in every room. I don't try to change that too much. Yeah, I mean,
there is no performance.
The only term is some non-veg jokes will not be told in public. Will all be told with a group of friends. But I used a very old person term called non-veg jokes. But
yes.
So I think I have a safe group, which is a group of friends I've been hanging out since college. With them, I'm a little more. I wouldn't say relaxed. I just feel like random, but in general, I'm exactly like this. I love to have random conversations. I am always the into cutlet, but more than else, I think I've genuinely always been interested in people and what really I can learn from them, and just bouncing stuff off them kind of just like teaches me so much.
Right. And at this point, what keeps you up at night?
There are so many positives that I can take from being stuck at home for the last year. I have a 3.5-year-old and I've spent so much more time with her than I ever would have if I had to go to an office every day. But I just look at what's happening outside and I know what's the world kind of going through. And it's, this is not the dystopian world we were promised. We were promised a dystopian world which would have aliens or would have a zombie apocalypse, and no, it is not this that we were promised as a dystopian world. So that's what worries me. And I did this thing a while back, which I tried as an experiment, really worked for me. So I figured a way to almost reprogram the algorithm on social networks around me. So I would stop responding to certain kinds of things, stop looking for certain kinds of content, and it suddenly became a happier place for me. But I don't think that's healthy, because that in a way you're putting yourself in a bubble and creating your own safe space and shielding yourself from what's happening in the world around. That's what really keeps you up at night. Is a deep sense of consistent anxiety about where are we really going. And I think it also comes as a parent for me, because I want Leah to have the simple things which we took for granted, right? Like, she wants to go play outdoors. She wants to go to a beach or a pool. These are simple things which we would always figure a way to get to. Like, going to a beach was always accessible, right? I grew up in Kakinada. We had a beach there. In Bombay, there is Juhu Beach you can go to. But there's just the fact that there's some things that we never focused on as much because we thought they were always there and waiting. Will we ever get to do those things again is the question I ask myself many times.
Wow. That's food for thought, definitely. Yeah. I mean, like, because you said about the experiment that you did, I realized that most of what I was talking about, and how you also said what you were thinking about right now, is, I think life is a series of experiments, right? We are going to constantly be able to experiment with different facets of depths. There are many things that we don't know, and some things that we know little bit, and some things that we call ourselves as the category experts in. And in all three worlds, we want to keep experimenting, because unless and until, and this is, if there's anything that I want to be able to really make sure that people take back from this conversation, is to be able to celebrate that confusion.
Yeah.
Celebrate it. It's fine. We can try 100 things. We can experiment 100 different ways. if not anything else, the beauty of celebrating confusion is that you will know 99 things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Out of the 100 things that you tried.
Yeah.
Right.
So true.
If not anything else, we will be able to experiment with ourselves, which comes free of cost. If not anything else, that experiment will only give us more learnings. And if I say I am the one who has to wake up every day and go to a set and shoot, the onus is on me. It's not on how the internet is perceiving me. It's not on how my parents are not helping me out. It's not about how the education system is not giving. None of that. All of those are complaints for a glorified version of ourselves that we don't wish to confront. And I think the minute we confront, we are able to experiment and find versions of us that we never saw.
So true. And I feel that's what we all struggle with, right? And like one of the reasons I got a lot more active on social also is because I would speak to young people who would have questions. And I always felt that it's important for me to respond. And in many cases, I would know the answer. And I would say, I don't know. But I realized that a lot of them, for them, it was so much, it meant so much that I actually responded and that I would at least hear out. And I try to do that. I mean, there are many days when I don't, because I just feel like my mind is so full of a lot of other stuff that I can't. And I always apologize saying, sorry, I took 3 days to respond to you. And everybody's always like, why are you saying sorry? You responded. I'm like, no, you wrote to me. It's taken me a week to get back. It's the same way anybody else writing to me. And I think what people are really struggling with aren't earth-shattering technical issues. They are personally shattering in many ways, or personally affecting like just stuff as individuals, right? So just how just trying to be more self-aware, trying to find who they can be, what the world around them is going to be like. And I feel that sometimes when I go into that, it makes me also think about, okay, what am I really doing content for? And I always like doing content so I can share whatever I know, whatever I'm learning. And it's important for me to at least stick onto that line, saying, where does me doing stuff for sharing what I know and learn end, and where does me start doing this because I am trying to do this for my own personal validation of number of followers and numbers, right, etc. And that's the line, right? And that line is something I try to keep drawing. Kind of, in school we used to always make a line darker so you could see it. I keep doing that from time to time.
Yeah, and it's a very hard process. I mean, I'm a victim of it. I'm sure every creator out there is struggling. I honestly, I mean, one of the big things that I learned from being a content creator is, before that I used to program the biggest content creators on our stages. So I have practically been in the BTS of most creators' lives to understand, what they're going through. But unless and until you do it, you can never really understand how crazy it is. Creators go through a lot. Oh my God. The creators really need to find a lot of motivation to wake up and perform every single day, to entertain. When I look at Prajakta, when I look at Dolly, when I look at Nick, all of these guys are just out there to really make their audience, create entertainment and create so much value for their people. And I think being that is just crazy amazing. I think it deserves a lot more support and celebration. It's easy to sit on the other side and say, what is this everyday content, this, that, it's the same stuff. But I know, I mean, I can empathize, not to the level at which they would have, but I can completely understand that being a creator is not easy.
Yeah.
And thereby, let's just be there for each other and help give tips of how we are dealing with life.
Yeah.
And tell how emotionally we're all damaged, but at the same time, we're all trying to figure out ways to sort of make peace with every day and actually wake up with a smile. And I think that's the one thing that I really hope for. I want to sleep peacefully. I want to wake up fine. And I want to be able to take the day head on. And I think that's a very, very hard thing in the present day, because a lot of things are not in your control. And, if people are there for each other, that's one thing that we can keep in control.
Yeah. Thanks a ton, man. This has been fabulous. And I like the fact that we got a mini part 2 into after we were wrapping up as well. It's it's like bonus round came in right after the conversation as well. So,
but I hope you had a good time, Varun, because I had a mad time.
I hope you had a good time, because I had a fabulous time. I always find it, I call it intellectual ping pong. So when you're having a really strong, interesting conversation. It's like a game of ping pong, right? You throwing something out there, someone's throwing something back, and it's lovely. That's the best way to exercise your mind. Is to do something like this. And thank you for giving me a great game of table tennis, mind tennis, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and here's the thing, right? After all of this, I mean, when I sit and have this conversation, when I sit and, sort of chat with you, I realize how insane your job is. You get to do this very regularly. You're playing intellectual ping pong every goddamn day. That's cheating.
Every second. Yeah, it's literally what I do. Yeah, it is fast becoming what is my primary
focus
thing to do. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. I mean, what do you do? I play intellectual ping pong. Do you want to join?
I should get that on a visiting card. Like Varun Duggi, intellectual ping pong player.
Yeah, professional intellectual ping pong player. Pro. You've gone pro, Duggi, Mr. Duggi. You've gone pro. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, this has been fabulous. Thank you. I mean, I didn't know the time flew, but maybe I've extended it a little bit. But thank you.
There is no limit to the time on this show, but this is the longest conversation so far. So we know how fun it was.
Yes. Oh my God. Hallelujah. Please validate. Real validation I love. Like